Just picture it. It's the first day in June. You're in your cap and gown, your name gets called, you grab your diploma, and then that's it. Your high school years are over. Now what? After high school, you have 4 main options. First, you could live in your parents' basement and do nothing. Second, you can get a job and start working right away. Third, you could join the military. Or fourth, you could go to college. Going to college is the most common decision, and today I'm going to show you the whole process it takes to apply. First things first, you have to worry about high school. Before you can move on to college, you have to make sure you'll be able to get in the first place. You have to make sure you're getting decent grades, you are taking the right classes, and you're on course to graduate. If you have any questions at all regarding any of this stuff, go down to the guidance office and see one of your counselors, and they'll help you out. Next, you'll want to take the SAT and ACT tests. In our school, we take the pre-tests for these exams, so you should have a relatively decent idea about what your score will look like. But luckily, you can take these tests as many times as you want, and only your best scores will be super scored for your college application. If you aren't pleased with your score, you can study with Khan Academy or numerous different books offered online or in stores, and keep retaking them until you are. So sign up for the SAT and ACT exams ASAP and allow yourself room for improvement. Another part of the process that is nice to start early is writing your college essay. When applying to schools using the Common App, which I'll explain more about in a little bit, you have to write a personal essay with 250 to 650 words. Your junior year, the questions for the Common App essay should be released. You can find the questions by going to the Common App website or simply Googling them. The questions have to do with personal experiences and personal growth. For some people, it's really hard to think of a new and interesting topic worth writing about. Admissions counselors do not want to read 1,000 essays about how students won a league championship and it was super awesome. Really read the questions and think about something interesting and important to your life you can share. The sooner you start writing this, the more time you'll have for idea changes and editing. Having it done will also relieve lots of stress come time when deadlines are approaching. So trust me here and start writing your essay sooner rather than later. For this next step, I know most teachers want you to ask your senior year, however, doing so as early as possible would be best. You need to ask for recommendation letters from teachers, coaches, guidance counselors, whoever you want to write you one, except for family. Make sure you ask teachers who like you and ask them well before application deadlines are due so you have enough time to fill out brag sheets and they have enough time to write you a good, thoughtful recommendation. Some teachers limit themselves to how many recommendations they'll write, so try to get to teachers as soon as possible. Personally, I found this next step to be the most stressful. Looking for schools to apply to is a hassle, but it's one of the most important parts of this entire process. You have to decide what it is you like in a school and then find schools that match your description. When looking for the ideal school, there are many factors to consider. Whether you want to go to a 4-year school or a 2-year school, a private school or a public school, which tend to be cheaper. What size school would best fit you? A small school that can have less than 2,000 people, like Amherst College, a medium school that can have 2,000 to 15,000 people, like Bryant University, or a large school that can have more than 15,000 people, like UMass Amherst. Does the school need to have a religious affiliation or not have one at all? Do you want the school to be gender specific or does it have to be co-ed? You also have to consider the cost of the school and how much debt you're willing to be in. Also, academics are super important to consider. What do you want to major in? The school has to have your major and a learning environment that you want to surround yourself with. Also, the requirements for the school need to be considered. Do you fulfill the requirements for a school like Harvard, or do you need to go to a lower tiered school? And when you're not in the classroom, you still need to be entertained and enjoying your college experience. So what clubs and activities and sports the college provides need to be considered as well. Lastly, location, location, location. This is a seriously important factor to consider. Do you want to go to school in a suburban area or in the city? Do you want to go to school where it's warm or stay here and deal with New England weathers? But most importantly, how far away from home are you willing to go? Seriously? Think about it. Now take a deep breath. I know that seems like a lot to consider and it's super overwhelming, but thankfully, websites like the College Board are super helpful in assisting you sort out schools and figure out which ones are best for you. After you find out what kind of schools suit you, and therefore a list of schools that you're into, it's time to go to college fairs. You have to develop a list of questions to ask the school representatives while you're at the fairs, and it's also good to have general questions about schools so you can potentially find more colleges to apply to. When you're at these fairs, it's important to make the most of them. No question is a stupid question, and always have an open mind. Having a long list of schools to begin with isn't a bad thing. Then, as you find more information and narrow your list of schools, you're going to want to visit the schools. If you go to the college's website, there's usually a link that says Visit. If you click on that link, from there, you can sign up for open houses, information sessions, and campus tours. Visiting the school is super important. If you couldn't see yourself walking around the campus or you don't like the environment there, then you definitely shouldn't go there. You won't be able to find that out through websites though. You have to go to the college and get a feel for it yourself. After you figured out where you want to apply, start your application and send that baby in. A majority of schools use the Common Application as their application. It's super easy because you fill it out once and then you can send it to almost every school. Take your time filling it out because there's a lot to it and you want to make sure you don't make any mistakes or miss any sections. Also, make sure it's accurate and makes you look like the best version of yourself. Some schools don't use the Common App, so you'll have to go to their website, find their application, and fill it out on there instead. After your application is filled out, review it and decide if you're applying early action, which is non-binding and you'll hear back by January, early decision, which is binding and you will hear back by January, or regular decision, which is non-binding and you'll hear back around March or April. Then press send. Also, binding means that if you get accepted to that school, you are signing a contract saying you will go there. And non-binding means if you get accepted to that school, you can still choose between that school and all of the other schools you applied to. On top of sending in your applications, you'll need to go to the SAT and ACT websites and send your scores to each school. You will also need to go to the guidance office and fill out a form for each school you applied to, so that way your guidance counselors and Miss Wingate can send all of the needed documents and paperwork to each school you applied to. After you apply to college, you need to apply for financial aid and scholarships. Use the very non-user-friendly Fafsa website to apply for financial aid, and you can find scholarships online or in the guidance office. These will help you pay for college because we all know it's quite expensive. After you apply for everything and hear back from all of the colleges, it's time to pick a school. Discuss with your parents and choose what school would be best for you. Send in your deposit and wait for the fall. To dumb it down, first, you need to worry about high school. Then take the standardized tests, write your college essay, and ask for recommendation letters. After that, you need to find out what kind of school you want to go to, attend college fairs, and then visit the schools that you're into. When you have some schools you'd like to go to, apply to them, apply for FAFSA and scholarships, and then when all of your decision letters are in, pick a school. This whole process is exhausting and it seems never ending, but in the end, it'll be worth it. And along the way, if you ever have any questions, ask your guidance counselors, ask your parents, ask people who have done it before. Everyone wants to help and see you succeed. Then after it's all said and done, Don't forget to thank everybody who helps you along the way. Essay editors, recommendation writers, guidance counselors, your parents, teachers. It's a little thought, but it goes a long way. Good luck, everybody. And don't cry. It will be okay. I promise.